15, and one of those is focused around communications about our educational system, getting the message out to both residents and companies that students can be successful in the Stamford school system, that we have a number of high-achieving children, and that message is being lost in the framing of the discussion around No Child Left Behind. So improved communication around the successes of our educational system, I think, is an education-related issue that hadn't been identified before. Yes?
I lost my table, but our second idea was more in line with this whole idea of affordable space. We drilled down to say we need to be talking about affordable space for more micro-enterprise startups, and we tied it into this whole social entrepreneur idea in terms of taking a look at some of the space that exists in some of our community organizations that we can move them, tie in both nonprofit and for-profit enterprise.
Thank you very much, Val. And we'll come back to table 4? 3, I'm sorry. Your table sign was askew, excuse me.
We discussed a concept, table 3, which is really more of a, I think addresses some of the issues I heard the other table speak about, which is trying to debunk some of the acronyms and metrics, and it would really be an education initiative to help people understand and compare greenness or shades of green, sustainability, or resilience, if you will, which is to say that certainly in the housing industry, that is a metric that people don't know they have any control over or any options. If you're comparing automobiles, you know, to whether it's a $10,000 or $100,000 car, you're familiar with the 3, 4, 5-star crash rating NHST. You're familiar with the Department of Energy's fuel economy metric, but there is no clear understanding of how sustainable or green a building is. So that being a case in point, trying to explicate the benefit of the HERS, the Energy Star program metric for homes, which is the HERS rating, which compares the sustainability, if you will, of various thermal envelopes, and then transcend that to buildings, automobiles, and having a metric for carbon footprint as well.
Great. Thank you. That ties in, obviously, to a point that Steve Smith made about the emerging need for trusted third parties to do exactly that kind of measurement and reporting.
Back here.
Yes, way in the back. Johan?
This is our third, it's actually more than an idea. It's tomorrow morning. Chris Kalish, everyone knows Chris from the GE Edge Lab. He's offered at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to host a discussion for anybody who's committed to building an incubator, an innovation center, or anything who believes that we need something of that sort. So I have to tell him tonight how many people are coming, but is anyone available tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to meet with Chris Kalish at the Edge Lab, the GE Edge Lab? You want a couple of me? Okay, so tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the GE Edge Lab, we're going to host a discussion about how to actually launch an innovation center and incubator, and that's an idea that we're going to try and put in reality tomorrow morning.
Great,
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, Celeste.
Our third idea had to do with urban farming, and we were intrigued with the idea as it was raised on the panel, but just to make it very crystal clear, if you take a look just to the north of the parking lot, there's a great big lot there with the name Rees on it. And we could do a lot with a piece of property right there central to Stamford, which could enable community gardening and start bringing foods that are locally grown right into our network.
Thank you. Ted, way in the back, you have something else you wanted to share?
Do you folks have a third?
Sorry.
Next.
Yes, they are. I confounded them by calling on you when they weren't expecting it.
Yeah, you just wanted them to jump through some hoops. Our third idea is called FET, Future Educator Teams. The idea here is to get our teachers out to some of these other conferences, be it PopTech or the World Future Society Conference in Boston this year, And these would be cross-functional teams. In other words, teachers that came from different backgrounds or had different skill sets. So they would go up, rub shoulders with a lot of different people, hear different ideas, and then come back. And we would try to get this funded so that each year we had more teams that went to some of these events and got much more experience about what's going on outside of Connecticut. Oh, I'm sorry, kids go with them. Go with them, yes.
Great, thank you. Dwayne?
Before my idea, a public service announcement. So, someone lost a pen, so if you want to claim it, it is here. Okay, you can pass it along. The idea...
An example of collaboration.
Exactly. It's really, I think, reconfirming what Reinventing Stamford is all about, the notion of shared vision or purpose, so that continue with this dialogue so that there is a broader sharing of that vision and purpose around many of the issues that we've been raising here. So more of this, I think.
Thank you. Back in the corner.
We're going to expand on the urban farming. We also talked about using space in the city for community gardens, but also extending that out to roof gardening, vertical gardening, and bringing back the notion of a victory garden to many of our private homes and promoting that idea. Also tapping into the expertise in the agricultural area that right now is concentrating in stores, but bringing some of that expertise here.
Thank you. Table 6?
Our last idea is basically about implementation, and similar to what Dwayne said, making sure we continue this conversation, but focusing it, creating an action plan, prioritizing activities, and beginning to create these cells around different activities. I think that's been kind of mentioned in different aspects here today, but you know, some people have raised their hand as volunteers to lead different aspects, but making sure that nothing that's a high priority gets dropped because we don't find somebody in this room to carry it on, but that we actively seek that person.
Terrific. Table 7.
One of our principal speakers today talked about the possibility of creative systems getting out of control. And we've recently seen where creativity on Wall Street and other places have put the rest of society and the community into a bad position. One of the things that we discussed as part of the university and a research university establishment here, either UConn or another university, was to set up a public-private partnership with the university, but also with the participants in the financial services industry, which we are living in the epicenter of the hedge fund industries and various other smaller, more highly risk-taking parts of that, and set up a public-private partnership to do research on issues before they get introduced to the public. It's not a regulatory body, it's simply an advisory body. And I think with some modifications, that's something that Stamford should get behind.
Thank you. Table 12, who's been so patient about waiting to give their ideas one at a time.
Thanks. And so this builds on another idea from another table. It's called You Can, and it's essentially a junior entrepreneur incubator for diverse kids. And apparently there's 56 languages spoken in the school system here. And so this would be a way for Stamford to really harness creativity and collaboration through diversity. And the thought is that you invite, you invite kids who improve their grades. So it's more of an award for doing well in school, so they can be part of something greater.
Thank you.
You're welcome.